Can you, he's gonna hold on. Hello, just wait one minute. Okay. Okay. Are you recording? Okay. Hi and welcome. My name's Tracy McCullough. I'm one of the members of the camp team, and it is my duty this afternoon to teach you a little bit about the theme for camp this year. And the theme for camp is Better Together. And then the tagline with that is going to be because we can't do life alone. So who was there last year and remembers the theme last year? What was our theme last year? Yeah, glow. And the overarching theme with glow was God loves our worship. So we talked a lot about worship. The year before that, 2023, our theme was Hey God, and the theme was prayer, right? So for those of you who are new, what we like to do with our themes is we're going to rotate through them. And we started with prayer. And so now we're going to do one this year on community, and then we're going to do a couple others. The other ones that we're going to do are Bible, stewardship and outreach, stewardship and service, and then one on outreach. And then we're going to start over. Okay? So the idea is all the little kids are going to get all of those, and then you get them again as counselors. So every time we do a theme, it's not going to necessarily be exactly the same. Like when we do worship again, it's not going to be glow. It might be something different. And when we do community again, it might not be better together. But the idea is we're going to be talking about those themes, and they're going to look a little different every time we do it. Okay? So I have a video for you to watch that is a little bit about better together.
People, they're everywhere. And whether or not people are your thing, God put us together for a reason, and he talks about it all throughout his word. From the very beginning, he said it's not good for man to be alone, and he started the first family. We need each other because just like iron sharpens iron, one person sharpens another, and we could all use a little sharpening. Together, we can carry each other's burdens when times get tough. We receive encouragement, we build one another up, and sometimes we just need someone to be there and to listen. We can't do everything on our own, but maybe that's the point. In the body of Christ, you are part of a community, a group of people who all struggle but are devoted to one another in love. Meeting together, serving each other, learning that everyone has their flaws, and reaching our cities with a message of grace. So today, we want to help you find your people and get you connected with a group. Because after all, we're designed by God to be better together.
Okay. The end of that is like if we were to show that at church and we would want people to be joining small groups and so on. That's why the end of that was a little bit different. All right, so let's take a look at our theme verse. Remember last year we had a verse that was the verse that we helped the little kids learn, and then there was another section of verses that we talked about every day, which was from Psalm 100. We're going to do the same thing this year. This first verse here, this one that starts with two people, that's what we're going to have the little kids learn. They're going to be motions for that. We don't have that quite figured out yet. So let's say that part of that verse together. Okay, ready? Here we go. Two people are better than one. They can help each other in everything they do. Ecclesiastes 4:9. Very good. And then as far as our daily talks and our daily sayings, we're going to call those community affirmations. We're going to use this second verse from Hebrews 10:24 and 25. Let's read that together. Let us consider how we can stir up one another to love. Let us help one another to do good works, and let us not give up meeting together. Some are in the habit of doing this. Instead, let us encourage one another with words of hope. Wow, that was a little good. That was a little difficult to stay together. We're going to work on being better at that, right? Okay. So what I want to do now is show you a little bit about what we're going to be doing with these daily things. And to do that, I have to find them. Maddie is teaching me all about Google Drive. And I'm getting better at it. It was under theme. I'm getting better at it, but I'm not awesome yet. Here we go. There. All right, so day one, we're going to use that first part of that Hebrews verse, and our community affirmation is going to be, together our love changes the world. So the whole week, we're going to be talking about why we can be better together. The idea is that God created us to live in community, and so we're going to look at all the reasons why we are better when we're together. So together, our love changes the world. We're going to look at the story of the Good Samaritan, and the part of the verse that we're going to look at with that is the first part of that Hebrews verse. Let us consider how we can stir one another up to love. So that's going to be day one. Then day two is going to be, together we do our part. Let us help one another to do good works. I am not very good at planning food for groups of people. So you'll notice today, did you know who took care of the food? It wasn't me. Who was it? It was Karen. Karen is really good at feeding you. I'm not good at feeding you. Last year, our theme was worship, and we even did a part of the training that had a time of worship. Listen, you don't want Karen leading you in worship. I'm good at that part. So that's the part that I do, right? So God has given us all gifts, and they're different. And we're to use the gifts that we have to serve him. And when we put all of those gifts together, we get something really beautiful. So together we do our part. Day three, together, I love this one. Together we stick and we stick up. The more you are together, hey, do you guys need to move so you can pay attention? Okay, just checking. The more you are together, the more you stick together, right? The more you are together, maybe the more you know about each other, the better friends you become, and the more you check in with one another. So if you are a regular attender of our youth group and you miss 1 week, you might have a few people who say, hey, where were you? We missed you. If you miss 2 weeks in a row, they still might be checking on you. But if you miss 4 or 5 weeks in a row, people stop looking for you, right? Being together means you have people that hold you accountable. That's the sticky part. The stick up part is that you stick up for each other. The example I like to use is I have 3 younger brothers, and I couldn't stand them. They were mean to me. I probably told everyone I hated them. But on the bus, on the ride home from school, when someone was picking on my little brother, I wasn't having it. No, that's my brother. You leave him alone, right? So you stick up for each other. It's good to have someone to stick up for you, because maybe sometimes you don't feel like you can stick up for yourself, but when you're part of a community, you stick up for each other. Day 4, together we encourage one another. The part of the verse that says, instead, let us encourage one another with words of hope. Now, my husband, and he is here today, he has a saying. Do any of you know it? How do you know if someone needs encouraged? Taryn? If someone's breathing, that means they need encouraged, right? So it's pretty easy to figure out who needs it, and we can all give it. And you will discover that your teammates here at camp, they all need encouragement, and you guys are going to have opportunities to encourage each other. All right, day 5, we're just going to look at how life is just better together. It's better when we do it together. I would not want to plan camp without my team. It wouldn't be any fun. First of all, I already told you I'm not good at the food part, and that would really stress me out. Also, I would not be able to plan camp as well as we can do it together. There are just a lot of things about being in a community with people who believe the same things that you do that just make life better. So that's what we're going to talk about on day 5. So the entire week, we're going to be talking a lot about how life is just kind of hard and we need each other, right? I used this example in the first training that we did with the other group, and I'll tell you this too. So I have a community of friends right now, and all of us are experiencing something hard. One friend is dealing with a lot of stuff from her past that's hard, and she just had a very close friend die suddenly. Another friend just lost a grandfather and is dealing with a lot of stuff, like some medical things that they can't quite figure out, maybe with her kids. Another friend's dad is going through some treatments for a thing that's growing in his head, and that's hard and awful. Plus, her work is really stressful. Another friend's mom, or another friend's dad, excuse me, is in hospice care right now and is sometimes a little grumpy and unruly and doesn't always treat her awesome, and that's hard. All of us are experiencing something hard, right? But what's so beautiful is together we encourage one another. And we don't all have to have it all figured out. I don't think I could go through what my family is experiencing if I didn't have my family and my friends. Okay? That's what we want for you. We want you to have a community of people who believe the same thing that you do, that believe that God has good things in store for you and that God is who we need to rely on. Because if you go to somebody who doesn't believe the same thing as you when you're going through a hard thing, they might give you some advice that would not be so helpful for you, right? All right, so we're going to do a little activity, and I need you all to have a Post-it note. So just take one. Okay. On your Post-it note, you're going to write something. Just write down something in your life right now that's really stressful and hard. And you can write down more than one thing if you want. Okay. And yeah, don't put your name on it. Just write down something that's stressful and hard. You want to collect them on that side. Just write down something that's really stressful and hard. The only people that are going to see this is me. We're getting ready to use the whole stage if that matters to you. Okay, once you have it, fold it up and we're going to stick it in our containers here. When you're done, just hold up your hand and I'll bring you the thing. You got yours? You pass it up. Just pass it. Thank you. All right, how are we doing? Everybody done? All right, now I need an active volunteer. And thank you, Lucas Ivanek, for volunteering. Come on up. Sometimes I handpick people. Okay, so you're going to come up on the stage right here. Lucas is going to demonstrate for us the stress of life. So I would just like you to walk to the end and then turn around and come back. Keep going. All right, so we've talked about how life is stressful. So, I mean, all of you have school. So here, Lucas. School is hard. Okay, keep going. So sometimes you have classes you don't like, sometimes teachers are jerks, sometimes there's just a research paper you don't want to write, and you're just carrying all of that around with you. And then many of you are involved in extracurricular activities. Maybe you play basketball or ping pong, and you have more things that you have to carry. And sometimes that's not so bad, but sometimes that can be a little hard and stressful, especially when they happen at the same time as other things, right? And then your mom's on you too, because you have chores. Come on, you got to take the chores. No, you can't put it in the basket. That's separate. So there you go. Okay. Because listen, moms cannot do all the chores, right? And sometimes she adds more chores. Okay? And you haven't gotten rid of anything else. You still have school, you still have sports. And then some of you went and got a job. And so maybe you're also now flipping burgers. Okay? So now there's school, there's chores, there's sports and your job. Okay? And many of you are involved in church and a youth group. So you got your notebook. And you don't want to drop the ball on your time with Jesus either, right? And then keep going. Life is hard, dude. Okay. And so then, and then other stuff happens. So there's a whole bin here full of stressful things. Okay, so this person said work and friends. Keep going, Lucas. This person said school. Here's one. My mom has cancer. Okay, Lucas. Now we add cancer. Well, what are you going to drop? Because you don't have a choice. You got to carry some. Here, put more fingers around. Okay, keep going. Pick up the basket. See? When life is hard, you start dropping stuff, right? Okay. Yes, you can. Come on. Come on. Oh, here's one. Figuring out personal beliefs. Okay. Okay. Okay, here's one. My grandpa is in a nursing home and we keep getting calls that he's not behaving. Oh. Keep going. Keep going, buddy. I know this is pretty hard, isn't it? Okay. My great grandma who fell while trying to take care of my great grandpa has really bad dementia. Okay. Keep going, dude. My mom's health, my dad's surgery, friendship problems, not sure what to do. Forgiving the people from our old church group who abandoned my family. That's hard. Are you getting tired? Loneliness and feeling like everything is too much. Okay, Lucas, how you doing? How are you doing, buddy?
A little hard to breathe.
Why don't you just kind of lay down on that blanket? Take all your stuff and just lay down. Okay, now, Lucas can't do it anymore. It's all too much. Does Lucas have any friends who would help carry him? So come up and pick him up, pick his mat up. Who else will come pick his mat up? Okay, so Lucas, wait a minute. No, you're going to pick up the mat. Lay down, Lucas. With all your stuff.
Hold on, this is gonna fall off.
Okay.
Put it in the basket.
Okay. Now see?
Then we're gonna fall off.
Now you can bring him. Bring him down here. Bring just down this far. Okay, see, now Lucas couldn't do that by himself. But when we're together in community, this is what we can do. Do you remember the story about the friends who brought their sick friend to Jesus? Okay, you can put Lucas down now. Gently. Gently. Okay, gently. All right. You can have a seat. Thank you, Lucas, for being a good. Okay. All right. I want to read you a little something. There's this story in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 2, about a time when Jesus was teaching inside the house, and there were so many people in and around the house that it was impossible to get near him. There was also a group of friends of a paralyzed man who decided to get their sick friend to Jesus no matter how big the crowd was. They believed if they could, Jesus would heal him. So they tore open the roof of the house, digging through the dried mud and the thatch to create an opening above Jesus, and then they lowered their friend down through the hole. The scripture says, when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralyzed man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." After a brief dialogue with the religious leaders who took issue with Jesus' declaration that he could forgive sins, Jesus healed that man. The part of the story that I never really paid all that much attention to is the fact that Jesus chose to heal the man based on the faith of his friends. Their willingness to trust on behalf of their ill friend was enough to get him healed. That whole scene had to be pretty odd and amusing, right? It would have been impossible to ignore that people were digging through the roof above him. I'm certain that the people in the crowd were freaking out. But apparently Jesus just kept on teaching despite the dust and debris that would have been falling all around him and the noise the digging would have undoubtedly made. What about those friends? Their love for the paralyzed man was obvious. They were willing to try anything to help him. We have no idea how he felt about their efforts. We don't know if he protested or went along with it. We don't know if he was too weak to do much of anything at all. All we know is that he got up and walked out of the house with a new skylight thanks to his buddies who believed that he could be healed if they could get him to Jesus. So this is a quote from Bob Goff. Does anybody know who Bob Goff is? Okay, some of you do. He writes really cool books, and if you don't follow him if you have social media, follow him. He puts out really good stuff. Bob said this: "We need friends who will hope for things for us when we're too discouraged to dream for ourselves. We need people who will lower us down through the roof rather than waiting for permission." We've all had times when whatever life has thrown at us feels too much to bear. Maybe we've experienced losing a loved one, the end of a relationship, an illness that sapped us of strength, or we've become too overwhelmed with worry. We've all had times when we needed to be carried by our friends to healing. Those kinds of true and real friends are willing to tear open roofs and do whatever it takes to carry you when you don't have the strength to get up. Sometimes we can be that kind of friend too. This is what it means to live and grow in community. There are times when the faith of others is what keeps us connected to God, even when we feel like God is too far away. And then the author of this says, may we learn to cultivate faith-filled friendships and be that kind of friend when the moment arrives. And may the grace and peace of our Lord Jesus be with us all now and forever. So that's what we want for you when we talk about community. We want you to have that kind of relationship with other people, to have friends who will do that for you, and we want you to be that kind of friend, right? Okay, that's all. I'm done. Stand up and take a stretch. Let's get awkward.
I feel like I have so much power and I'm so popular. Oh, sorry, Savannah. I ran off the screen. Don't tell. Oh,
What about the front row? What about the front row? What about the front row?
share, please. Sharing is care.
Front row.
We're better together if we all get candy.
We're better together.
I sent Dustin to the store and I was like, I ran out of candy. I need you to get more. And he bought me all of this for you. So we're set. Jesse, we're good? All right. So have a seat, fellas. Your Better Together scripture card is getting wrinkled.
Yeah, you're better.
You better flatten that in your Bible. Flatten that out. All right, friends. So it is the time that you've all been waiting for. This part of our training is called Awkward Conversations with Ashley because we are going to discuss things that might make you feel awkward. Just be glad you're not my children. They had to sit through this last time too. So it's even weirder when your mom has to be the one to say the weird things. So, it's okay. We are, last year, I gave you all, if you're a returning counselor, I should say, I gave you all this packet to take home and have your parents sign and bring back and things like that. And every year we're learning how to do it better and differently. So this year we're not giving you the packet, but by signing in today that you are here and you are present means that you had this training and you understand the things. And so if we have to have a hard conversation with you later, you acknowledge you were here and you heard the stuff, okay? Because the subject matter of Awkward Conversations with Ashley is right here in this packet, and it's called K for K, Policies and Procedures Regarding Sexual Misconduct. All right, so we are going to try to get through this without it being too excruciatingly painful for you, but at the same time address some very real issues that people deal with, especially our campers coming from a lot of different places, okay? All right, I'm going to read through this, and then I'm going to kind of discuss it as we go. I know that it's kind of boring to just have somebody read through something for you, but I'm going to try to keep it engaging and entertaining if I can, and kind of speed through it, the parts, just so you hear it, but it's not like, you know what I mean? Is this making sense? Okay, anyway. All right, at Camp for Kids, we believe each person is a child of God, created in the image and likeness of God. As a camp, we strive to create an environment founded on faith in Christ. As such, we are careful to foster an environment where children, teens, and adults can grow emotionally and spiritually. Christ instructed us to love one another as he loved us, giving his life for our sakes. Accordingly, any behavior that exhibits Christian virtue is expected. Conduct which is contrary to Christ's teachings is a sin and unacceptable. It is essential that all counselors and volunteers, so the adults get this too, and volunteers involved with K for K understand the overwhelming public concern regarding abuse and sexual conduct issues. Violations can quickly lead to the involvement of law enforcement officials and quickly destroy the reputation and work of K for K, cause terrible trauma to the involved parties, and soil the name of Jesus. So basically, we want to make sure we're living our lives above reproach. So that means we're living to a high standard of integrity. We are holding ourselves to higher standards than other people might who don't follow Christ. And quite frankly, some people who still follow Christ but don't hold themselves to those standards, and maybe they're confused and they're still lost in figuring that out. We are telling you guys that as the leaders of Camp for Kids, we want our camp and we want all the people who are involved with our camp to be holding themselves to the highest standard. Capiche? All right. This written policy is designed for clarification of the issues among all volunteers and counselors. A reputation of having an outstanding camp program can take years to gain and a single inappropriate experience to lose. I'm sure you guys have heard different headlines like this before, where something that could have been amazing in the past, one person not doing the right thing can destroy the whole reputation of it. For example, a couple years ago, we were looking at a place to hold a youth retreat or to go to like a camp as a youth ministry. And as we were researching it, I found one article that was talking about how somebody involved in the camp was up to some really shady business. And I was like, Maddie, nope, we can't take the teens there. We cannot be involved in that. And that was just one article. There could have been 1,000 good articles about the good things that people were doing there, but that one article mattered. And so I don't even know if those allegations were legitimate or not, but the fact that they were out there were enough to make me as a mom and a youth leader willing to say, no, we're not putting our kids someplace that could be shady. You know what I mean? So anyone involved with Camp for Kids including campers and volunteers, must not be uncomfortable with their own impressions and reactions to the sexual behavior of others. Meaning, you need to not allow yourself to be embarrassed to bring something up if you're witnessing it because it feels uncomfortable. If you feel that it's wrong, then you need to say something and not fall into the temptation to be like, oh, I probably just misunderstood, or maybe I misinterpreted it, because it's better to err on the side of putting yourself out there to have an awkward conversation and save somebody from going through something traumatic than and think you're probably misunderstanding and then something terrible actually be happening. Make sense? All right, so with all of that in mind, we cannot be too careful in the area of sexual abuse. Even the appearance of inappropriate conduct or the filing of a false allegation can cause irreparable damage to the reputation of the accused person and Camp for Kids forever. You guys know that this is the best week of the summer, and you know that we have to close registrations. We have to cut off camper registrations because we can't take much more than 300 campers, right? And there's a waiting list to get into camp, because even though we live in the middle of nowhere, even though there's a lot of things that are going on in the summer, people want their kids to be involved with Camp for Kids because it is excellent. And so we've worked really hard to build up the reputation of camp. This is the 33rd year of camp. We've worked really hard for it to be something amazing for all of these years. And it would be just devastating if we lost over 300 kids who are hearing about Jesus or who are growing in their faith because of one possible issue. And so that's where holding ourselves to a higher standard and not even letting something appear to be inappropriate is important. And so therefore, all volunteers, no matter the capacity, must be very cautious in order to avoid doing anything that could be interpreted as sexual abuse or sexually inappropriate conduct. As a result, these procedures are read broadly and expansively to protect the interests of all children, campers, and counselors, as well as other volunteers. So the conduct described here, I'm going to read through some things that you're going to be like, you said what? But I'm reading through all of these things knowing that this is not a complete list of every messed up thing that people can do in the world, but it is kind of an umbrella covering all of the things that could happen. And so, where was I? There are certain behaviors that must be mentioned as prohibited for all K4K volunteers during their time at camp. These include engaging in any physical touching of any kind. Now, that's not like, hey, buddy, high fives, it's like the inappropriate touching, right? The lingering touching, stuff like that. That's creepy, that we're going to avoid. And so, anything but not limited to kissing, petting, caressing, or any other contact or conduct intended for sexual gratification with any other person related in any way to the camp, including but not limited to campers, counselors, or volunteers. And so these things are to protect you guys too, to make sure that people are not being inappropriate to you. We have over 80 adult volunteers who come and help run Camp for Kids. We do background checks on all of them. But we also know that the enemy is sneaky and sometimes things can get snuck through that we aren't aware of. And so we want you to be trained to notice things that are inappropriate to protect your campers and to protect one another and even the adults too. Okay? So here's kind of my go-to radar for you. Have you ever had like a great uncle or auntie or somebody who you don't see very often, but when they see you, they're so excited and they're all like up in your business, like, oh my goodness, look at you, you're so big. And they're like hugging you extra, like kissing you on the face. And you're like, this is creepy. I don't know you that well. I don't want you kissing me, but they're your family. So you're kind of like, is this okay? And they're, you know what I mean though? Like, give me a little nod if you understand or not. Okay. So, and then when you were little or you had that great auntie or uncle who would like tickle you and it was like, haha, that tickles, and you're playing a game or like you're just kind of, how like little kids want to be tickled, then run away and come back and they want to be tickled. But then there's like a line that sometimes it crosses where they keep tickling you and you're like, okay, this isn't fun anymore. I don't like this at all. And so it feels awkward, right? That's what I call like the creepy line, okay? And so the Holy Spirit in us has given us a a sense of discernment. And so if something feels creepy, it's probably creepy, right? Irregardless isn't a word. Regardless if they mean for it to be that or not, it's crossing a line that's making you feel uncomfortable. And so that's the end. And so we need to be able to stand up for ourselves in that way. We need to be able to stand up for our campers in that way too. You can tell when kids are wrestling and playing around when they're having fun, but then when one kid starts to get too serious, have you ever done that with your siblings? Like you're kind of messing around, and that my sister and I were like this all the time. We'd be like wrestling, like it was like a power struggle to see who was stronger. And then all of a sudden she would get real serious and real mad, and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. And so that was like the line. It was too much, right? And so what I want you to remember is we're there to show the love of Christ to our campers. We're there to show them that they belong and that they matter and they are seen and they are heard, and that it doesn't matter what kind of spiciness their personality has or what flavor of pineapple, rutabaga stuff they're bringing in. We'll get into that more at camp. But whatever they're bringing to camp, this is a place where they belong and they are accepted. Even if they feel like they're on the periphery everywhere else in their life, they belong here. And so we want to protect that for them. And we also want to show them that their voice matters. And so if something is feeling creepy, if it's showing it's getting too far, that's where you can intervene and kind of break it up. But also you are watching out for behavior and other things that if it feels creepy or looks creepy, then let's protect each other, okay? So I want you to turn to your neighbor and say, don't be creepy. Turn to your other neighbor, they need to hear it again. Don't be creepy. You know what feels like it's too much. Yeah, I know. I have to remind myself because I'm totally that auntie that I'm like, I want to love you and I want to show you you matter and I want to hug you. And I'm trying to get better at that. Except for Park and Ryland, I make them hug me just because. But we have to be aware of that, right? And so we know when it just feels like, okay, that was probably too much, and we can dial it back in. And I'm telling you, facts. Like I have to do that to myself too. So don't be creepy. Don't let other people be creepy either. We're holding each other up to a higher standard. And so sexual misconduct also includes verbal misconduct. So vulgar, obscene, suggestive, or profane talk or behavior is strictly forbidden. Don't be creepy or we're going to make you go home, okay? Don't be creepy. Such conduct includes narrative accounts of sexual activities, sexual innuendos, comments about one's body or that of another person, discussions of sexual activities or experiences, or obscene jokes. I don't want to hear that. Neither do you. So don't be creepy. Okay. There are additional behaviors that, while they're not necessarily intended for sexual gratification, that are inappropriate due to the appearance of possible impropriety. Sometimes it might be totally innocent and look totally fine to us. We know what's happening, but our camp is a public campground. And so people are coming in and out. And so they might see other things happening and be like, whoa, what is happening? What kind of a camp is this, right? We don't want to give that impression. And so this would include interactions between volunteers and our campers, any of us, like massages, hand holding, sitting on laps, or full body hugs. Now, let me clarify that, because a lot of you, the first time I did this, were like, I can't hug my campers. Ashley, you hug all of us. What are you talking about? I'm not talking about like you can't give like a friendly hey hug. I'm talking about like full on body smashing. That's creepy, okay? So no body smashing. That we don't need any like full on like I'm just gonna hug you stuff, all right? That's creepy. Don't be creepy, right? And so a great way to combat that is a good side hug, especially with your campers, because they are varying sizes and where their heads are going to come is going to vary on your body. So a side hug is a safe way to do that, okay? So that you're not getting weird contact. That's creepy. You know what I was saying? All right, so another option for you guys, like if you're hugging each other and you know you're working through some stuff while you're at camp, you're growing together, like you can hug each other, but also be aware of what feels creepy and what doesn't, what is appropriate and what isn't. And so like I don't know, who wants to be a volunteer for an example here? Amelia and Kramer. Let's say Amelia is comforting Kramer and they're hugging and just standing there forever like that. That's going to get creepy, right? And his girlfriend will get jealous and then there'll be a fight and earrings coming out. Don't be creepy, right? So that's especially with you guys to be aware of that also. We are not setting up camp to be some sort of like paradise camp where teens find love. That is not the purpose statement of camp. All right. Leave your Riz at home. It doesn't need to come to camp.
Oh, please never again.
That was intentional. You're welcome. All right. Also, I want you to think about your campers. If you're at Playland with the kindergarten through third graders and your little kids want to hold your hand as you're walking and skipping to your next activity, or maybe they're tired during story, it's after swimming, so they crawl into your lap to sit. That's going to be pretty innocent, right? And nobody coming in is going to be like, why does that 16-year-old have a 5-year-old on her lap? Ew. No, that's appropriate, right? At Wilderness and 4th through 6th graders, where some of the campers are as big as you, that's creepy. They don't need to be sitting on your lap. And honestly, they don't need to be holding your hands either, right? So especially if you're a wilderness counselor, that's the age where campers, they're looking up to you as more like, I want to be like you, and maybe even starting to crush on you a little bit. And you don't want to give any false, like, you're groaning because it's creepy, right? And so you don't want to let any of that kind of fall into place, right? We don't need the campers going home, 6th graders going home, and they're telling their friends about this great week they had at camp because their counselor was the hottest and he held their hand on their way to crafts. Like, that's creepy, right? That's the kind of stuff that gets places shut down. All right. So don't be creepy. Good. Moving right along. Some general guidelines for volunteer behaviors with campers and other counselors include: never touch anyone against the person's will, verbally or non-verbally expressed, unless it is to prevent an accident. Like your kid's going crazy and they're about to bash their head off a picnic table. Yeah, grab them, right? But you don't need unnecessary touching. Can we just go with that? And you can read people's body language, when they're rigid and don't want it, like I've definitely put my hand like, hey buddy, what's going on? And they're like, okay, we're gonna give you a little space and keep talking. All right. Appropriate touching takes into account the touched one's comfort level, and it may include pats on the back, a touch on the shoulder, hugs of welcome, hello, goodbye, thanks, congratulations, handshakes, high fives, arms around shoulders, all of that stuff. Remember, no body mashing. Appropriate touching can become inappropriate if it goes on too long, right? Excessive tickling, wrestling, or teasing with a camper, too much. Inappropriate touching is any physical contact that violates the touch person's comfort level. It is touch that is given or forced on another person for the primary satisfaction of the actor, not the one touched. Touching of the genitals, buttocks, or any touching for sexual gratification is always inappropriate and cannot be consensual. It is inappropriate to share information about your personal sexuality or sex life, or to inquire about another person's. It is inappropriate to show favoritism or to encourage crushes or romantic fantasies that campers or other volunteers may have about you. It is also inappropriate to create, post, share, or view photos, reels, or videos of sexual misconduct in any capacity and through any platform. I'd like to reiterate that. It even says viewing. And so thinking about what it is that you're letting your eyeballs see and what you're letting go into your mind, it matters too. And so keep that in mind as you are viewing things online as well. Respect the privacy of campers or other volunteers during the times when they are changing clothes or showering. Especially during swim time, if you have kids who are changing and need help, you can kind of base that based on their needs and what they want. Like with the 4th through 6th graders, we're not really helping anybody. Like you can figure out your swimsuit, right? Unless they have a special need or something like that. And even in that case, it's, hey, do you need help? Are you okay with me helping you? Or you're coming to get one of the adults to say this kiddo needs help, and just to kind of keep you safe and protected, right? Littler kids, if they need help, a lot of the time they're like, I can't get this, and you're like, oh, okay, let me fix that for you. But trying to keep it cool and calm and not becoming a big deal. And then you're just kind of whispering, hey, next time, stay in the tent and let me know you need help and we'll get you straightened out. Just kind of playing it cool for them and teaching them, I understand you're very comfortable with your body. Other people might not be. Let's not be creepy. Let's see. It is inappropriate to share a bed or sleeping bag with other volunteers. So boys, you don't need to zip all your sleeping bags together and make a super cot, okay? You do roll up the flaps of your tents during the day, and if people are driving by the tent and they're like, what is happening? That's just going to be awkward to explain, okay? It is inappropriate for non-married volunteers to show signs of affection to other volunteers in front of the campers. Behavior of volunteers should be circumspect around campers so that at no time do they associate any two volunteers as a couple. Any and all behavior in a camp setting must allow for perceptions and concerns of others. I'm just making sure I'm good on time here. All right. And so this isn't like, I made the joke about it being like a reality TV show for dating. It's not because we're like anti relationships. It's just, that's not the purpose of camp, right? And campers, kids especially, if they'll find that kind of stuff interesting because they find you interesting and they want to know more about you. And so if they're like, ooh, Taryn, you don't have a boyfriend? I should hook you up with somebody, just try to change the subject. Like, you don't want to be, that's not the reason of why they're to camp. So you can be like, sorry, I'm in a relationship with Jesus. And then you're pointing them back to him, right? I'm focusing on him is what we're saying. And I say that because I've had experience with this. I mentioned earlier, I worked like all summer long at a camp in Michigan through college, stayed in a covered wagon for the summer. Those get real toasty. Let me tell you about that. But Dustin, my husband, and I, at the time, we were dating, and we were going to be getting engaged soon, but we were pretty serious and we were dating. He was also a counselor at the camp, but we didn't have our camps. They had like two schedules they ran on, like group A goes to lunch, group B goes to lunch. So it wasn't like we were at the same things during the day, but at some point we saw each other and said, hey, and then went about our day. I had 6th grade girls who completely fixated on the fact that I talked to a boy, and they focused on it for the entire week, and they would bring it up nonstop. And I was doing my best to distract them with the other things, like, we don't need to focus on that, whatever. My supervisor that week, it was the first time she'd been like my area supervisor. She thought that I was promoting this whole like boyfriend crazed conversation. And she pulled me aside and was like, it's not really appropriate for you to be having all these conversations. And I was like, I am not encouraging this. But she didn't know me, and that was her impression because she heard my campers talking. And so when we talk about just keeping the focus what it is and trying to keep we don't want people to get the wrong idea, is what I'm trying to say. And so just doing our best to keep the main thing. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, great. All volunteers must be concerned for the safety and protection of the campers and others at K4K. As a result, it is required of all volunteers to report any violations or other improprieties, even if it involves another volunteer. Failure to report an incident or complaint that is made known to a volunteer can result in discharge. And so what that means is, if you know something is going on that shouldn't be, you need to let us know. Because when it comes to light, because the darkness always does come to light, when it comes to light and you knew about it and didn't do anything, you're going to go down with the ship. And so I know it can be hard to feel like you're ratting out your friends and they're going to be mad or things like that. But hopefully, eventually they will see that you were doing what was best for them and best for the camp overall. And that's not to say, like, if your friend is doing something they shouldn't be doing, hopefully we are in good enough places with each other that we are holding each other accountable. And we're saying, hey, you know what? I think you might need to cool in on that. Let's think about that. It's not like you have to go up to them in their face and be like, you're wrong, you're sinning. It's all handling it in love and letting them know, hey, I think this isn't really fitting in with what camp is trying to promote. Also, with that, as the adult directors of the camp, we are mandated reporters. And so that means if there are things going on with campers that they're sharing with you, we're doing this training to keep you safe while you're at camp, but also to know things to have kind of little antennas out that you're kind of like, my camper talked about this, and that felt like a weird thing for them to know as a 7-year-old, or they're disclosing something to you about, yeah, when my stepdad comes over, he likes to play a tickle game under the blankets, and you're like, that sounds creepy. And so but you're aware of these things because with over 300 campers, I hate to even think that this is true, but the statistics show us that some of our campers are experiencing abuse in some way. And so we need to know that if we recognize something, we need to say something. And so if your campers or you're starting to hear them talk about things or they're disclosing information to you, you need to come to one of us and let us know. And so at Wilderness, you're coming to me or to Corinne. At Playland, you're going to Tracy or Karen. If you can't find one of us, the other team members, you can totally come to. And so that's Melissa, that's Gary and Jenny, that's Dustin and Maddie. And also we have Pastor John and Pastor Steve who will be around. And if you are finding something that you think is suspicious, and maybe you're not even positive, but it gives you that feeling inside like, this isn't right, let us know and we can do some stealthy investigating and figure out if something is happening that needs to be checked out. And we will keep you out of it. It's not like we're going to call their parents and be like, hey, Mara told us that Sally said that. We're not going to do that to you. We're going to protect you from that. They're not going to know anything and we'll take care of it. Okay? This is also going to be stuff like they've got really weird bruises that they can't explain. They aren't bringing a lunch. And you're like, it's pretty clear that they need to have food. And they're just saying, oh, it'll be fine. I'll eat when I get home. Like they're just different clues and different red flags. If those, even yellow flags are popping up and you're kind of like, I don't know about this, say something to us. And we would rather help alleviate your fears and walk you through the next steps to take than have you just worry and wonder. And maybe we know, oh, you know what? Their mom's out of town this week and their aunt is helping them get ready for camp. I bet she was frazzled and forgot their lunch. Like things happen. And so we're able to kind of plug some holes, fill in some gaps, and get to the bottom of things. Sound good? All right. You don't need to investigate further. You don't need to be like, oh, Harriet the spy, here I come, and start, investigating into it. You're not Matlock. You don't need to do that. Have you guys watched the new Matlock show? So good. Okay. We can talk later. All right. All violations will be investigated for both the protection of the child and the protection of the one alleged to have committed the violation. So if a parent comes to us and says, hey, my child said that Kramer was in the changing tent helping my kid pull up his shorts. That was weird. We're going to protect Kramer and we're going to be like, oh, well, he knows not to be creepy, but we're going to talk to him too. And we're like, hey, what happened? And he'd be like, oh, dude had his shorts on inside out and they were so twisted. And I made him turn them around while I was changing it, but I closed the zipper because I didn't want other kids seeing it, like that's a random example, but we're going to protect you in that too. Because especially if you're trying to help do the right thing. Kramer's just going to look at his campers and be like, that's creepy. I can't help you. Wear your hoodie all day, kid. All right. The K4K committee members, in consultation with the pastors of the church and the appropriate authorities and all of that, there's a whole paragraph here, but basically you need to know, we will address the appropriate parties. We will make sure things are taken care of. And whether the incident or alleged offense takes place on or off camp property, it will be considered camp related because we know about it. And when you know things, you can't just not do something, right? And so you guys are minors, most of you. So but just by signing the attendance sheet, we're saying you understood what we're doing here. Can you shake your head yes if you understand what all the things are we're talking about? And all of our adults have to sign off that they understand this. And I recorded this session for them as well. So they get to replay awkward conversations with Ashley over and over again on YouTube if they want. Isn't that special? The private link, you don't get to watch it. All right, so key takeaways here. Hold yourself to the highest standard. and still show love. If it feels weird, then stop. But also know that you need to recognize sometimes it feels weird when we're putting ourselves out there and loving others too. We might not be naturally a hugger, but sometimes that is just what that kid needs. They just need to know that they're loved. So you might have to put yourself out there a little bit to encourage them, right? But if it feels creepy, stop, because we all know. One last time, all of you, don't be. Thank you. So think about the things that you're posting, watching, absorbing, putting out there, consuming in any way. Those things are included in this policy. And if you see something, say something. Okay? Thank you. This concludes Awkward Conversations with Ashley. And I'm trying.
All right, so you're almost done with your day. It's 1:33, so hang in there with me for a little bit longer. The next section that we are going to talk about is counselor roles. Counselor roles. All right, so when you got your letter that said you were going to be coming to be a counselor, you were told you were going to be a senior counselor or assistant counselor. If you still have some years left of being a counselor, you're going to notice that those titles change a little bit and within the next year. So we're going to kind of change the verbiage from senior and assistant. So this is just going to kind of outline what the expectations are. But first, those who've been a counselor before, can somebody volunteer and tell me what your favorite camp memory is?
Laying on the ground.
Okay. Lucas?
Staying up till like midnight and carrying Cade all the way out into like right next to the woods and just waking him up. He didn't realize he was out there.
Nice.
Pretty fun.
Mara?
Secret worship after the trip, but it wasn't so secret. Everyone knew about it.
Okay. Any more? Okay. All right. So in order to solidify this verse in your head, we're going to say it together again. So say it with me. Ready? Two people are better than one. They can help each other in everything. NIRV. All right. So who can tell me what the mission of camp is? Anybody? All right. So the mission of camp is to provide a camp experience that shares the love of Jesus with campers through counselors, facilitated by adults, so the next generation will know him as Savior. So our mission, we have lead counselors or senior counselors right now that drives the mission. So you're really trying to make sure that those campers are getting to experience Jesus during the week, and then support counselors or assistant counselors, and they're supporting that mission by also supporting their lead counselor, making sure that the kids get to activities on time, making sure that they're paying attention, making sure that they're enjoying themselves and having fun, because they're going to get more out of it if they're having fun. All right, so lead counselors, name 3 qualities that a lead counselor should have.
Sure. More than 1 year.
Okay, Lucas? Patience? Good. All right. So mature and responsible, has camp experience, has a strong and clear faith in Jesus. Our expectations also include that they've been a counselor for at least 1 previous year or other camp experience. And then we want to make sure that they can define who Jesus is and what a Christian is. Okay. And then our support or our lead counselor commitments that we expect from all of our lead counselors, all our senior counselors, you're there all week. You had an exceptional reference letter, and you're able to lead one-on-one camper counselor times. And then you prioritize safety and fun. A good lead counselor makes sure their kids are sunscreened. They make sure that the group is together. They make sure that they've got a head count before they go to the next activity. And they're making sure that their kids are having fun. They're not sitting on the sidelines during games or kind of avoiding their group. They're getting involved. They're making sure each of their campers sees them having fun as well. All right. We want to see our lead counselors growing, especially throughout the year. We want to see that you're committed to your faith growth. We want to see you involved in a youth group, involved in a Bible study, involved in church. We want to know that you're putting forth effort into your daily walk with Jesus, doing devotionals, spending time with Jesus on your own time. So what's one way that you think you've grown in your faith this year? Anybody? Go ahead, Mila. Okay, good. Yeah, praying more, talking to Jesus more, being more consistent with that, reading your Bible a little bit more, maybe hanging out with your Christian friends, going to youth group, trying to invite more of your non-Christian friends to church. All right. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the support counselors. These are our first-time counselors, or they're still building and refining their leadership abilities. Maybe you're not quite ready to take on like 6 kindergarteners all at once and be responsible for all of them. Maybe you're still learning to develop those leadership skills. So our support counselors, we want you to be learning during this week. We want you to get different attributes from your lead counselor and also follow your lead counselor. We want you to be growing in faith and in your leadership capabilities, but not everybody has that leadership gift either. So your gifts might be more of a support capacity. Your gifts might be more administrative. Your gifts might be more, hey, I'm really fun and I can get the kids to do 35 jumping jacks in between activities so that they're a little bit more tired when they sit down for story instead of like chattering and playing tag, right? Then the support commitments, we also want you there the whole week. That's going to be the expectation. We want our counselors there the whole week. You're attending your mandatory trainings, just like the lead counselors. You show potential or willingness. You're wanting to be there. You're wanting to learn. You're wanting to grow. And you're building your relationship with Jesus as well. So quick poll by raise of hands. What's your favorite faith growth tool? Who would raise their hand that Bible study is your favorite way to grow your faith? Okay. All right. How about worship? Good. Youth group? Okay. Service projects or Sunday school? All right. So just like we all grow in different ways, in different capacities, we're all gifted in different areas as leaders and support people. And with one goal in mind, right? We want these kids to learn about Jesus and we want to be part of that. All right. So our final challenge is bring your heart, bring your energy, bring your faith to serve with joy and purpose at Camp for Kids 2025. All right. Now, remember this verse? We're going to do this one too. All right, ready? Let us consider how we can stir up one another to love. Let us help one another to do good works. Let us not give up meeting together. Some are in the habit of doing this. Instead, let us encourage one another with words of hope. Hebrews 10:24-25. Go ahead. All right. So, and it wouldn't be my presentation on counselor expectations without the 10 commandments of Camp for Kids. So I need 10 volunteers. 1, 2, with the glasses. Yep. 3, next to her. Yep. 4, Hannah, 5, 6. I'm sorry, I don't know names yet. I promise I'll learn them in the back row with the glasses. Yep. All right. 1, 2, 3. Farrah, 4, 5, 6, 7. Adeline and Amelia. All girls. All right. That was 10 of you, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10. I can count. It's great. Okay. All right. The 10 commandments of Camp for Kids. Number 1, you shall not steal. Make sure you label your items. Turn in anything that you find that's not yours to Lost and Found on the porch, or we are going to have an office camper this year instead of being stationed on the porch. That way it provides the porch as an area for you guys to hang out too. So phones, Bibles, bags, water bottles, make sure that they are all labeled. That way if somebody finds a bag in the field, we can be like, hey, we found this. Or you can find out who actually lost it so they don't have to sing for it, right? Because that's a nice thing to do. All right. Number 2, you shall not murder. You shall not murder your camper or your co-counselor or that person in your tent that snores so loud that it shakes the canvas, right? All right. You shall not commit adultery. You are here. You are here for the kids and for Jesus, not a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So no purpling. Who knows what purpling is? I know the Stevenson girls know what purpling is because their parents taught me. So you're not all over each other, boyfriends, girlfriends, anything like that. So travel in groups of how many? 3. And that is not so that the third person can be a lookout. We're on to you. Okay. This isn't our first day. All right. Number 4, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor.
No bear. False witness. Yeah.
So what's that mean? That means do not gossip. Save the drama for your mama. All right. We don't want it at camp. Number 5, honor your father and mother.
Mother, honor them.
During Camp for Kids, that means all of the adults that you come into, your group moms, the K4K committee that's here and trying to support you, any of the adult volunteers. If they're asking you to do something, if they're telling you not to do something, please honor them. If an adult volunteer tells you something that you know doesn't track with something that one of the committee members would tell you, just come and let us know what's going on. Keep us in the loop. That way we can talk to the adult volunteer and make things more clear. Okay? All right. Thou shalt not have any other gods before me. All right. So Camp for Kids is about bringing Jesus to these kids, and that comes first. Okay. You know why you're here. You know why you came to Camp for Kids. You want to teach these kids about Jesus. So make sure that God is your priority during the week. Okay. I know hanging out with your friends is a lot of fun. I know it's tempting when you're in activities in the big groups to just kind of collaborate as the counselors, but make sure that you are really putting forth the effort with your campers. All right. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Sabbath.
Pay attention at training sessions, right? Pay attention at training sessions so you get to rest and hang out Sunday of camp rather than remediation. All right, so Saturday move-in day, we're gonna have more training. Make sure you pay attention. Make sure you're in it to win it, because if you're not and you're kind of just going through the motions and we don't feel like you guys really retained anything, then less free time on Sunday. And you don't want less free time on Sunday. You want to be able to hang out with your friends on Sunday, right? Okay. So we want you to be able to rest and relax and hang out on Sunday. So help us to keep that holy. All right. Number 8, you shall not covet.
Don't covet.
Focus on the growth of your campers and your own spiritual growth. Don't be jealous of what others have, right? So you might have 3rd grade girls and they're driving you nuts, and you see that Mara has kindergarten boys and they just love her and love on her and listen to her. Don't be jealous. Just work with your group, work with what you have, right? All right. Number 9, you shall make no idols. All right, so Maddie's going to talk to you a little bit more about the phones situation at camp this year, but we don't want your phones to be your idol. We don't want you scrolling all the time and ignoring what's going on around you. Your team, your friends, don't let them come between you and God, right?
No friends.
All right, this is a great week. This is a great week for you to really focus on your growth and your relationship with God, okay? All right, number 10. Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain.
No way.
All right.
No.
So please, we know that a common struggle is language. We want you to make the effort to reflect God's love for you. So keep in mind that, oh my God, is taking God's name in vain. All right. Stick with gosh, stick with goodness, stick with golly, or Lanta, right? So those are our 10 commandments of camp. They will also be posted at camp so that you don't forget them. That is all I have. So thank you, my 10 commandments. And then you guys can have a seat, and Maddie's coming up next.
It's 1:48. Give it here. Okay, we have one important thing that we are going to review, and then we are going to take a photo, and all of you are going to smile and be very nice about it. And then we are going to put the tables in the gym away, okay? This last piece of business is not fun. However, it is necessary to review. You can all say womp womp. This year for Camp for Kids, you may have noticed in your acceptance letters, actually, let's do this. Who read your whole acceptance letter? Okay. Some of you did, some of you read part of it. Okay. So we're doing something new at Camp for Kids this year. If you read your acceptance letter, what did it say? Yes, our phone time has been limited. Okay, so I did promise you an explanation in these letters, so that is what I am here to give all of you. So if you do not know, we are instating a new phone usage policy for Camp for Kids this year. I know, I'm very excited about it actually. So the phone usage policy is that you will only have access to your phones, and you will only have access to your phones from the time when the campers leave to dinner, okay? You are not going to have your phones at night. You are not going to have your phones during the day with the campers, and you are not going to have your phones when you were all zombies at breakfast, all right? So we are not going to be having our phones for a majority of the day. Now, I do want to be able to explain to you all why that is the case. So number one, I just want to tell you from my own personal experience, when I was a counselor at Camp for Kids, my cousin and I made a pact, and we literally left our phones at home for the entire week of Camp for Kids. And I personally believe, and I think the committee also is of the opinion, that that makes camp a lot better, right? The theme of Camp for Kids is community this year, and we really want to ensure that you all are making an effort towards building community, and you cannot build community when you are just staring at a phone all the time, right? So we are hoping that with this new phone usage policy, you will spend more time interacting with one another, and you'll be focused on building new connections and also growing your relationships with other people as well. Now, with that also, we don't want your phones to be a distraction. Now, I don't know about all of you, but the temptation for me to pull my phone out of my pocket at any given time of the day and check Instagram is very strong. All right, and we really want to focus on the safety. I need you all to focus during this, please. Thank you. We also want you to be able to focus on the safety of your campers and engaging with your campers. So we don't want you to be on your phones during the day with them, which is another reason that we have put this phone policy in place. And then lastly, in the evenings, right, when we are at things like worship and advisory groups, that's a really important time where you are able to learn and hear from God and hear about community and learn what that is, and also connect with your peers and also some other adults during advisory groups. And we want you to be dedicated during that time to really focusing then too. And at night, we just want to make sure that there's no shenanigans going on, okay? No shenanigans. So with that, I know some of you are maybe really stressed about this, or maybe it's going to make some of you uncomfortable. And I will tell you that it's probably going to make some adults uncomfortable as well, because a lot of us have our phones and they are safety blankets for us and they're things that we use, but we're hoping that we can grow through this experience. So during the day, your phones are going to be put in phone lockers. So this isn't a situation where like we tell you, hey, you can't have your phone, leave it in your tent. It's a situation where literally you're gonna have to turn your phone in, put it in a locker, and then you'll be able to get it after the campers leave. Does that make sense? Yes? If there is a case of an emergency, you will be able to access that, right? It's not like I'm gonna be crazy about making sure that you never have your phone if it's an emergency and you need one, but we are doing this to encourage you not to use it, all right? So I just wanted to explain that to you. If you have any further questions about that, or if your parents have questions, they can contact Melissa. She is our parent liaison, or you can talk to me or any of the other committee members and we'd be glad to discuss with you. Yes, Stray. Great question. We are going to have a setup in each of the tents so that you are able to have alarms to wake up in the morning. And if you need your special white noise to fall asleep, then we also have things prepared for that too. Okay. And don't worry, I really like music, so I'll play music all the time, so you don't need your phone for that either. Anybody else have any other questions? I am really hoping that this is going to make us stronger as a community and bring all of us together. Some of my favorite memories at Camp for Kids are like me sitting around a table in a tent because the building was demolished from some snow. So we were just underneath a big circus tent for 2 years, but just sitting at a table and playing cards for hours after our campers left because there was nothing else to do. And it was the most fun that I've ever had in my entire life. And I wish that I could go back to that moment. So I'm hoping that you guys will find the same to be true for you all too. Okay. Does anybody else have any other final lasting comments or questions? Okay. On the count of 3, we're going to clap and cheer as loud as we can because you have officially completed your Camp for Kids 2025 counselor training. Okay, thank you very much. So